What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I think this is going to be another pick that's going to be a little bit controversial. I know not everyone's going to agree that he belongs in the top 10 list. However, I mean, when you look at his accomplishments, especially from a cumulative level, I think he belongs in the top 10. Not in the top 5, as some people have him on ESPN or Fox Sports, but at least in my opinion, but he does belong now, I believe, in the top 10. Now, I'm talking about James Harden, right? Now, just to do a brief recap of my top 15 so far, going from 15 on to 1. Number 15, I had Trace McGrady. Number 14, Vince Carter. At number 13, I had Klay Thompson. At number 12, Reggie Miller. Number 11, Ray Allen. At number 10, I had the great Sam Jones. At number 9, I have James Harden. Now, of course, James Harden has some knocks on him. He is seen as a perennial playoff choker. He's had some big moments in his career where he's choked in the playoffs. And this is primarily why I don't think he belongs in the top 5. Because statistically, he's one of the most prolific scoring machines we've ever seen. And one of the most prolific players, stat stuffers. You're a guy that likes analytics and numbers. He jumps out at you. But too often in the playoffs, he hasn't gotten it done. 2012 NBA Finals, he shot very poor, had a very poor finals. And a 6-man role then. 2000, I'm not as good remembering years as I once did. Might have been 2017 playoffs. One of those years when they was playing the Spurs, and I think it was a game 6 or something. And the Spurs, if I'm not mistaken, I think they didn't have Kawhi Leonard, and I think they didn't have Tony Parker or Manu, one of those two. And somehow the Spurs on the road still won by 39 points at Houston. Now, 2019, I think we all remember this. Game 6 at Houston. They're playing the Warriors, and there's no KD. And somehow they can't get it done. Now, this particular series, they did have Chris Paul. They didn't have Chris Paul the year before, in the closeout game. This time they did. James Harden has 35 points, but 30 of those points came in the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, I think he has 5 points and 4 turnovers. Steph Curry scores 20 of his 33 points in the fourth quarter, and he went on the road somehow, some way. The year before that, they didn't have Chris Paul the last 2 games of that series against the Warriors. 2018, they won 65 games that year. I think they were either the best or one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Statistically, it was the best Rocket team or strongest Rocket team ever assembled. They won 65 games, and they were a very dominant team that year. When Chris Paul goes down with a hamstring injury, they have a 3-2 lead, and they blow both remaining games. Game 7, James Harden contributed to a streak where they missed 27 3-pointers in a row. 27. And they still only lost by single digits. And then you have last year, well, James Harden stunk it up in all but one playoff game before they were bounced. I think it was in the second round. And hell, they almost blew, not almost, but they came close to blowing a 3-0 lead against the Toronto Raptors in the first round, if I recall correctly. I think the series went 6 games. So, and then in 2020, they're playing OKC, a team with Chris Paul and a bunch of young guys, a bunch of nobodies, and that series goes 7 games and almost goes the distance. So James Harden has a terrible, terrible reputation for him and his team not getting it done in the postseason. Be that as it may, he is one of the most accomplished players in the history of the NBA. When you look at his resume, he won the MVP award in 2017-18. He's a 10-time NBA All-Star, 6-time All-NBA first-team player. In 2012-2013, he was on the All-NBA third team. He was the 2011-2012 Sixth Man of the Year. 3 times he's led the NBA in scoring. He led the NBA in assists back in 2016-17, and he's on pace to do it again this year. He was on the NBA All-Rookie First Team 2009-2010. He was voted one of the 75 greatest players in the history of the NBA, really technically 76. And in college, he was a consensus first-team All-American 2009, Pac-10 Player of the Year 2009, 2-time first-team All-Pac-10 2008-2009. His number 13 is retired by the Arizona State Sun Devils. He was a second-team Parade All-American in 2007 and a McDonald's All-American in 2007. And he won Olympic gold back in 2012 in London. And when you look at James Harden's career, the numbers, they're very impressive. For his career, he's played in 990 games. He's averaged 24.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, and 7 assists per contest. When you look at the cumulative numbers, James Harden has made 2,734 three-point attempts. That places him, I believe, third all time in three-pointers made behind only Steph Curry and Ray Allen. He has missed the most three-pointers of any player in the history of the NBA as well. He's a 36.3% career three-point shooter, so he's not the most accurate marksman. He's not terrible. He's not Russell Westbrook, obviously. But then again, he's not elite Glenn Rice, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, definitely not Clay, Steph. He's not of that efficiency. But this year, right now, he's shooting 40.1% from beyond the arc this year. If he can keep this pace up, this will be the first season he ever shot 40% from beyond the arc. He has an uncanny ability to get to the foul line. Just looking right now, for a stretch of 6 seasons, he led the NBA in total free throws attempted and made. Actually, I take that back. 6 seasons he led the NBA in free throws made, and 7 he led in free throw attempts. He's connected on 7,323 career free throw attempts. He's a career 86% free throw shooter, one of the best that we've ever seen. He's dished out for his career 6,916 assists. He swiped 1,505 steals, and he scored 24,529 points in his career. So he's not far away from 25,000 career points. So to that, I just had to put this guy in my top 10. I mean, statistically, he's crazy. As a matter of fact, as a Houston Rocket, his numbers are crazy. from 2012 to 2021, as a Houston Rocket, he averaged well over 29 points a game, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 44% shooting from the floor, 36% from beyond the arc, a 53% effective field goal percentage. So even though his field goal percentage was never like 50%, when you look at the shot attempts he was taking, the amount of times he gets the free throw line, he's actually one of the more efficient players. James Harden was like really the first 2K player, you know what I'm saying? Like a guy that, takes a lot of threes, gets the foul line, puts up a lot of points. One of those guys that people like to create on video games. Anyway, as far as James Harden's biography is concerned, he was born in Los Angeles, California in 1989, and he attended Artesia High School in Lakewood, California. In his sophomore year, he averaged 13.2 points as Artesia went 28-5. He improved his stats to almost 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists in his junior season, and he led Artesia to the California state title and a 33-1 record. Artesia repeated as state champions in Harden's final year after going 33-2. Harden had similar stats during the previous season. 18.8 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. He was named, as I said before, an McDonald's All-American and also earned second-team Parade All-American honors. In Harden's freshman year in Arizona State, Arizona State was picked to finish ninth in the Pac-10 Conference. Behind his 17.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game, the Sun Devils went 21-13 and finished tied for fifth in the Pac-10. After his freshman year, Harden was named first-team All-Pac-10 and was named to the conference All-Freshman team. He was also named first-team All-District by the NABC and the USBWA. Entering his sophomore year, Harden appeared on many preseason All-American lists and on the cover of Sports Illustrated College Basketball Preview issue. He was named to the Wooden Award preseason watch list on November 30th, 2008. Harden scored a career-high 40 points in an 88-58 victory over UTEP. Harden finished his sophomore campaign with averages of over 20 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. He was named to the 2009 All-Pac-10 tournament team, following Arizona State's defeat by USC at the Staples Center. He was also named a consensus All-American. After the conclusion of the season, the second-round NCAA tournament loss to Syracuse, Harden declared for the 2009 NBA draft. He employed Rob Pelinka as his agent. Harden was then selected with the third overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft by the Thunder. He recorded the fourth highest three-point percentage in NBA history, 37.5% for a player under the age of 21 during the 2009-10 season. He connected on 7 straight three-point field goals over 2 games that season, recording the most consecutive three-point makes by a rookie since Houston guard Michael Dickinson made 8 straight in May of 1999. I remember that, when he did that. He posted a season-high 26 points against the Warriors on December 7th, 2009. And he was named to the NBA All-Rookie second team at the conclusion of the season. During the 2010-2011 season, he scored 10-plus points on 54 occasions, including a season-high 26 points against the Phoenix Suns. Harden averaged nearly 17 points, 4 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists in 62 games during the lockout-shortened 2011-12 season. That year, he received the Sixth Man of the Year award. Harden scored in double figures in all but 4 of his appearances during the season. He scored a season-high 40 points against Phoenix on April 18, 2012, becoming the first NBA player in a reserve role to score 40 points since Dallas guard Rodrigue Bobois in March of 2010. I don't even remember who the hell that is. Harden helped the Thunder reach the 2012 NBA Finals, where they were defeated in 5 games by the Miami Heat. And as I said before, in that series, Harden had a very, very poor performance. During the 2012 free agency period, Oklahoma City attempted to sign Harden to a 4-year contract extension worth between $52 and $55 million. Harden later contended that he was given too little time to consider the offer. After failing to agree on a contract extension with the Thunder, Harden was traded to the Rockets on October 27, 2012, along with Dequan Cook, Cole Aldrich, and Lazar Hayward in exchange for Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks, which became Steven Adams in 2013, and Mitch McGary in 2014, and a second-round pick, which became Alex Abrines in 2013. During his tenure with the Houston Rockets, Harden quickly became one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA. During his first year, he averaged 25.9 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 5.8 assists, and 1.8 steals. The next season, he averaged 25.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 6.1 assists as his playmaking improved each season. 2014-15, he averaged 27.4 points, 5.7 rebounds, and a then career-high 7 assists per contest goal with a career-high 1.9 steals. And he shot 44% from the floor and 37.5% from beyond the arc. And I think it was around that time that Kevin McHale was fired and replaced with Mike D'Antoni. And the team increasingly revolved around James Harden and his scoring and him handling the basketball. James Harden also, to me, began to develop some bad habits. Whereas under Kevin McHale, James Harden would mix it up a bit with the mid-range, sometimes posting up, sometimes going to the hole. He increasingly relied more and more on the step back, which was a great move. Although I believe that a lot of times he was traveling, but James Harden began to develop some bad habits, relying on the step back, not playing defense, and relying more and more on tricks to get to the foul line. Learning certain things that he could do as far as pulling on players, nudging players. He became an expert at initiating contact, but making it appear that he is the one that is the victim of over-aggressive defensive play. He perfected it. The next year, 2015-16, he averaged a career-high 29 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per contest, to go along with 1.7 steals. It was around this time that Houston was improving as a team and becoming a contender in the Western Conference. The next year, 2016-17, when Russell Westbrook was making history, averaging a triple-double, some believed that the MVP should have went to James Harden. That year, he averaged 29.1 points, 8.1 rebounds, a career high at the time, and a career high, still to this day, 11.2 assists per contest. And I believe they won something like 55 games that year. 2017-2018, the Houston Rockets That's the year they won 65 games. James Harden won his first, and still to this day only, MVP award, winning the scoring title, averaging 30.4 points per game, becoming the first Houston Rocket to average over 30 points per game since Moses Malone did it. I think it was the 81-82 season. He averaged 5.4 rebounds and 8.8 assists per game that year. Next year, 2018-2019, teamed up with Chris Paul again. He would average a phenomenal 36.1 points per game, to go along with 6.6 rebounds and 7.5 assists per contest. And in his last full season in Houston, 2019-20, he would average, playing with Russell Westbrook, 34.3 points per game, leading the NBA in scoring again, going on with 6.6 rebounds and 7.5 assists. It was during this time that James Harden was scoring 50 or more points with great regularity, the greatest regularity we've seen since Kobe Bryant in his peak. As a matter of fact, I believe on the all-time list, he is right behind Kobe Bryant in career 50-point games. James Harden, I think he has 23 or 24 50-point games, and Kobe has 25. Michael Jordan is second with 31. Wilt's the all-time leader. No one's going to catch Wilt. 118 50-point games. In 2020-2021, James Harden ultimately wanted out of Houston. There was a new regime that hired Stephen Silas. This was also a time period when James Harden was starting to be closed out of certain important decision makers when it came to the Houston Rockets. So he began to act out, do certain things to be traded. He gained 30 pounds, became very disruptive in practices, even reportedly throwing a basketball at a teammate. Then Houston Rocket, DeMarcus Cousins, had to be restrained from attacking James Harden during one particular practice. After a game in which James Harden said publicly this team would not be able to contend, his hand was forced and he was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, for a stretch with Brooklyn, James Harden was playing at an MVP level before he got hurt. I believe it was with a hamstring issue. That hamstring issue would pop up again during the playoffs. But ultimately, with his new teammates, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, ultimately they were eliminated in the second round by the eventual champion Milwaukee Bucks. The next season, 2021-22, James Harden had a great statistical season. By this time, James Harden was not quite the same player. The added weight had robbed him of a lot of quickness, and also he had altered his game. He became more of a playmaker, playing with, and with Kevin Durant and Irving. He became more of a playmaker, averaging 22.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 10.2 assists per contest. But he ultimately wanted to be traded. And he was given his wish right before the All-Star break. He was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, which is where he is today. Now, last year with Philly, he did not have a good season at all, only shooting 40.2% from the floor and 32.6% from beyond the arc. But this year, James Harden is having a great year, averaging 21.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and leading the NBA in assists with 10.8 per contest. He's shooting 44.9% from the floor, a career high 40% from three, and 87% from the foul line. And best for James Harden, this year he's not overly concerned with free throws and getting to the line and complaining about that. This James Harden seems, he's in better shape. He's a little bit more explosive. Still not as explosive as James Harden that was in Houston, but he's a little bit more explosive. And I like the way he's playing now. He's not just solely relying on outside shots. And he looks sharper when he's shooting the basketball. When I see James Harden shoot now, I actually feel like it's going to go in more often than before, But we'll have to see whether or not this is a mirage. Is this a James Harden teamed up with Joel Embiid that's really going to make a run? Now, if he can go out and win a championship, with the Philadelphia 76ers, that would push him up even further on the list. Because no matter how we feel about him, a championship ring is a championship ring, and it does mean something. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I have him at number 9 all time. Tell me what you guys think.